interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening. My name is Michael Marks, and I want to talk to you today about transformational leaders and transformational leadership. Some of you might be saying to yourself, transformational leadership, yay! Or you might be like I was 6 weeks ago, ask yourself, what exactly is transformational leadership? Or some of you might be sitting back thinking, oh boy, not another clown saying, yay, they're going to make America great again. You know what? We can make America great again, not through politics, but through changing corporate culture with great leaders and a great transformational change model. Who are great leaders and what makes them so great? Behind me, I have pictures of quite a few great leaders from the world throughout history. We have Gandhi. We have the likes of Einstein, Pope John Paul II, Leif Erikson, Abraham Lincoln, Henry Ford, Norman Schwarzkopf, Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Ronald Reagan, Margaret Thatcher. They all have one thing in common. That is, they could all capture one's attention, and they all had a vision, and they were all able to persuade people and be able to affect change. As you can see, some of the world's leaders are both good and bad people. We have up there Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, and Jim Jones. Of course, we all know all those are bad people. We also have Donald Trump up there. The jury's still out. We'll leave that for the American people to decide. How do leaders influence change? Most of our leaders come out of the military or a business environment. Some come out of government, and others come out of poverty and oppression, all with a vision and drive for change. But how do they actually influence the change? Bernard Bass is the modern Don Corleone of modern-day transformational leadership. Through the last 6 weeks, use the textbook by Bernard Bass and Ronald Riggio, and they presented 4 transformational leadership components. The 4 components of transformational leadership, also known as the 4 I's, are idealized influence, inspiration, intellectual stimulation, and individual consideration. A true leader gains trust and builds cooperation using one or more of these 4 I's. An individualized influence, a leader acts as a role model. They live up to high ethical and moral standards, and they present themselves where others will basically idolize them and want to be successful just like them. The second, inspiration, is similar, but they lead and they build confidence. They have a following. They build confidence. They get momentum going, and their following pushes them even further ahead with change. Third, intellectual stimulation is where a leader challenges their following, asking them to come up with new creative ideas, reworking things that already exist, and getting everyone involved. When they get everyone involved, it makes it so everyone's on a level playing field, and no one feels like, oh, they're going to be embarrassed or they have a bad idea. Everyone's contributing, and no one's left out. And the last I, individual consideration, is when a leader takes the role of compassion, looks for people who need extra help, who he knows, he or she, if they get the extra consideration, they can also excel as a leader. Like I said before, a true leader, through self-sacrifice, gains trust and builds cooperation. This is very often seen in the military. How is successful change accomplished? Change is accomplished by great leaders who have a vision and can gain a following and lead a team through a set of rigid change steps into the future. Another pioneer, and we used his book in the class, was John Kotter, and his book was Leading Change. He presents 8 steps that should be followed for successful transformational change. The first step is establishing a sense of urgency. You need to wake up your organization and let them know that change is necessary, or else there's going to be imminent failure. One example of this that we saw in the news was the weapons of mass destruction. That raised everyone's eyebrows, got us into the war, and I'm not going to debate whether they were there or not, but that raised the sense of urgency, and that was used as a change mechanism. The second step is creating the guiding coalition. You need to have a group that's behind you. If you're a leader, you cannot do it alone. You need more than just the CEO of a company. You need a group that will be loyal, a group that's willing to make sacrifices, a group that is willing to make the necessary changes to benefit not only you as the company, but also themselves as the employees. The third step that Kotter presents is developing a vision and a strategy. This is one of the most important steps. There is a leadership vision and there's a management vision. The leadership vision is looking out into the future and determining what the company wants and what the company needs to do. The management vision is the actual tasks and regulations or work rules or whatever is going to be followed to get there. The fourth step presented by Kotter is communicating the change vision. This step should not be rushed into. There should be research and development going into, how are we going to get from point A to point B? And do we have a plan A and a plan B? You might have a plan that's going to get you're planning on 10 years into the future where it will be cemented into corporate culture, but 3 or 4 years down the road, you might have a economic downturn and find out that plan is no longer going to work. So you need to have a contingency plan of some sort. Also, you need to have a structured way of presenting to your change agent how this is going to be accomplished. You need to gain their confidence and let them know that they are going to be part of this process. They're going to have to make some sacrifices, but if they stick with it, it will be a benefit. And that brings us into step number 5, empowering employees for broad-based action. Make employees feel like they're part of the process and make them feel like, they're the ones that are generating the success and they're going to reap the benefits from the success. Number 6, generating short-term wins. This works with any sort of change, whether it's in your personal life or work or whatever. Make small attainable goals. You hit small goals, you feel a lot better. It's not an uphill battle all the way. The 7th step is consolidating gains and producing more change. This has to deal with interdependence. Within companies and organizations, there's a lot of things that are interdependent, and basically the interdependencies have to be taken care of. They have to be recognized and they have to be dealt with. What I mean by interdependencies is you have one process, the main process that needs to be changed, but there's 4 or 5 sub-processes that go into that process, and you can't change the one process you want changed without affecting the 4 or 5 sub-processes. So really, you want one goal accomplished, but you have to do 5 or 6 different things to get that goal accomplished. A good leader will have to exercise quite a bit of patience to deal with the interdependencies. Lastly, step 8 is anchoring new approaches into the corporate culture. This is probably, with the exception of having a good vision and strategy, the second important step. This is where you're going to find out whether your change process has been successful or not. And it's going to take time. It might take 10 years for it to get ingrained in the corporate culture. So what do we know? We know that leaders, as you see in the pictures, all different ages, all different races, all different religions, all different sexes, good people, bad people, anyone can be a leader. And as these pictures show, all these great leaders, none of them associate with color. They're all monochrome. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.